Hello, everyone, and welcome to the She Network's third webinar, where today we'll be covering the ever evolving balancing act of being a parent and having the career we want. From having a balance that is manageable, managing mom guilt, and feeling like you're thriving, we'll be sharing our own perspectives on this unique journey. I'm delighted to be joined today by our special guest, Priti Patel, Director of Marketing and Widening Participation at Queen Mary, University of London, Simone Davis, Director of Future Students and Brand at the University of Kent and co-founder of the She Network, and Trina Everall, co-founder of Story and founding partner of the She Network. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Priti, I firstly wanted to say a huge congratulations on the birth of your daughter.
Thank you.
How have the last few months been for you?
Great. I mean, all the emotions you can ever imagine in a 3-month period, just joy, lack of sleep, just everything, just all wrapped up into one. But we are so happy and she's doing really well. She's got a pair of lungs on her when she's not happy. We all know, our neighbours know. So yeah, all going well so far.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining. I think when I look back to the first 6 months of my son and daughter's life, it was like being in a washing machine. That's the only way I can describe it. Full of love and emotions, happiness, highs and lows. And yeah, it's great to have you here today.
Yeah,
I'm really glad, Priti, as well, that you could join us, because when Marcel and I are literally at our first meeting about forming the She Network, which didn't have a name at that point, we actually talked about you. So obviously all of us in the room know you from different routes, and you and I was trying to work out, it's a long time that we've known each other, and it was just thinking about how you and I have supported each other as well, and thinking you'd be great to actually kind of be someone as part of the network. So that you're our first guest, I'm so pleased about. And I think when we met, you were probably just going on maternity leave and hadn't had the baby, so we didn't reach out to you straight away. But it's great we've been able to now, and that you've been able to join us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful that there is a network like this now, and I just think you'll be really, really just priceless in terms of helping people through. So yeah, thanks for thinking of me.
That's okay.
Yeah, Simone, I don't want to even think about how long we've known each other.
No, it's a long time. It's been a journey.
So Priti, you've been very successful in your career, and I just wanted to firstly ask, kind of, what's your been experience of motherhood and having a career?
It's really funny when we were talking about success, and it's lovely to hear you say that I've been successful, but I think success is so individual in terms of how that's defined. And I was reflecting on success pre-babies and success post-babies, and how that has changed so much. From pre-baby, I'd be thinking, right, I need to get promoted, and I need all these other things that come with a typical successful career. And now, honestly, if I can just get through a week without too many tantrums and too many issues at work, I'm thinking it's been a success. So yeah, it's interesting to think of the term as success. But yeah, it's motherhood has changed my outlook significantly, and it actually has changed that definition of success significantly as well for me.
And if I can ask, kind of, what does success? I know you said in it kind of in the getting through the week without tantrums. We can all relate to that. Have you started to think kind of long term what success might look like as they're growing up?
No, genuinely no. And I found that whenever I think too long term, it just stresses me out, because there's so many factors that you can't control anymore, right? As soon as you're a mum, you have another human being who will do what they want when they want, without any restrictions, without any boundaries, especially when they're so young. That control and planning, it almost goes out the window when you think of the long term. So for me, I think one of the things that I found is just taking one step at a time is the best way of thinking about it. So I haven't thought about success. I haven't thought about the long term genuinely, it's getting through week by week, which is a bit sad really, because that is really, really opposite to what I used to be like, where I did have more of a plan, you know.
Oh, I don't think it's sad. That's not sad at all. I think it's amazing that you're working on a week by week basis. Like, I remember when my little one was born, I used to make notes on my phone of things that I had achieved that day, like if I'd managed to shower, or if I had got out of the house. And I used to look back on them after a week just to see what I had achieved, because I felt like I hadn't achieved anything. So I think it doesn't sound sad at all. I think it sounds great. I think it sounds like you're winning.
And Trina, how have you found the balance having your own business and bringing your daughter into the world?
I don't have a balance, or I mean, I just feel like I don't really have anything secure in place at the moment. And I find that really disorientating, because I used to love the fact that I run my own business and I could work when I want and, you know, choose, you know, just the whole idea to me was really exciting, that I wasn't beholden to anybody anymore, and I could, you know, work when it suited me and when I felt most creative, which for me is sometimes at night time or first thing in the morning. I mean, I don't know when I'm going to feel creative at the moment, because as you can probably hear from my voice, you know, things change. You become ill all of a sudden, or you have had several sleepless nights, or I don't know, you know, like I've just been to the hairdressers. The hairdresser was late, and then, you know, I've got this appointment and I've got a meeting and I need to drop the baby off, and all of a sudden you feel like you can go really quickly, I find, from feeling like you know what you're doing and you have a plan and you've organized something, to feeling like you're drowning. And so I don't know how to answer that question other than honestly, which is just keeping my head above water at the moment. She, you know, she's so young, she's 14 months old and she's just about to start nursery. And so I'm hoping that will give us a bit more space to be able to give me more time to focus on my business. But I suppose the thing that I've learned over the last year is that things don't stay the same for a very long time. So although this might feel like a really difficult time, I've been there and I've got through that difficult time before. And so I just need to keep going. And in 3 months' time, it might look totally different.
I am totally with you both. Sorry, Simone.
That's okay.
I'm totally with you both on it's about surviving the day. And I know this might sound really extreme, but to people that haven't got children, but sometimes you're waking up, you're absolutely knackered because you've had no sleep the night before. You know you've got to be productive and bring your A game, and you're dealing with the emotions of having toddlers who are, you know, there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to what they're going to do next, and you've got to give them the emotional support, and then, you know, you want to do the best for your team. And if you can get through the end of the day and tick a couple of things off your list, or even if you're not working, like you said, sometimes it's washing your hair or making yourself a meal, or if you get to the gym, I mean, those are the great days. But it's impossible to think long term because you're raising little people, the next generation, and at the end of the day, you're trying to keep them alive as well. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't have children, but obviously worked with lots of women over the years who do. And I'd be really interested in what you think more could be done. And actually, Trina, listening to you, actually, I worked at Anglia Ruskin University, and they had a scheme, I don't know if it's still running, which was really designed to give support to women when they were coming back. So not so much pretty where you're still, but when you would move back and had to transition, because actually you've been out for quite a long time, as you've said, really pretty, you know, your priorities have changed, your focus has changed, but I don't know if there are things you think that could be done. And actually, Trina, I thought that's probably even more difficult for you without having that kind of transfer back to the workplace and maybe hopefully support. But if there are things that you'd like people like me who don't have children to be thinking more about.
Yeah, sorry, Pretty, were you going to answer?
No, do you want to go first? I'll come in.
Well, yeah, there isn't for me, I work, I don't have like a system or a HR team or anything like that. You know, it is my business, and I employ people to work on various jobs with me. The thing I found really helpful is actually working with some amazing, brilliant women, women who have children, women who don't have children. They're journalists that I work with, and they've just been so supportive throughout my entire maternity leave. So, you know, from handling negotiations even with potential clients for me, you know, these are journalists who wouldn't normally add that to their repertoire of jobs that they do for me, but that's something that they've done for me, and they've really supported me. And it works both ways. You know, now I'm working again, and a colleague of mine the other day just said that, you know, she's about to go and have an operation, and it's going to fall around the time that we're doing some work together. But of course, that's fine. You know, I totally understand that, in the same way that she's totally understood that I've needed a hand here or there, or I couldn't make a call, or it would be really helpful if she just stepped in. So I think just being human, showing empathy, whether you got kids or not, it doesn't matter. It's just, we're all going to need some support at some time, whether it's with our kids or with our parents or with our own health.
Life is there, isn't it? Life is ongoing. We're not robots. We all have challenges in different ways around our lives, and as you said, different things around illness and parents' needs and partners' needs. Yeah, that's really insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd echo that as well, Trina. From my point of view, you know, there's the general support that you give people. I think we work in the higher education sector. People are just really empathetic and really kind in most cases. So, you know, I think I've been incredibly lucky. I've got a great boss who's also a woman who has children. She's been through this journey, and she's very empathetic and supportive. But we also have put in some structured support as well. So it was only when I came back from maternity leave, I came back from maternity leave during COVID. So it was a real shock to the system, you know, everything going online and nurseries not being open and all those things. So for me, I really struggled when I first came. And it was a dear colleague of mine who recently said to me, I was really worried about you that year. And I thought, oh goodness, I must have been breaking down, you know, but it was tough. It was really tough. Our university had launched a new strategy, and everyone had just assumed that I would know everything about that strategy, thinking actually there was a whole year where I was out where the strategy was developed, but it was so embedded and ingrained in people's thinking. So I had to do a lot of homework and get up to scratch really quickly with these things. With Microsoft Teams, that was new. So, I mean, it was a really tough journey. And one of the things that I then implemented, and this was a part of the staff survey action plan, was that buddying up scheme. So we've got a really large directorate at Queen Mary, and we have now sort of got a scheme where people can buddy up with each other when they come back from maternity or paternity leave. And once again, that's just been really helpful. And I'm looking forward to buddying up with someone when I get back. So that's going to help me again going back. So structured and unstructured support, I think, is absolutely essential.
It was interesting. Simone and I did a webinar several months back, and there was a question around, you know, what advice would you give for somebody that wants to start a family and also wants to have a successful career? And I've had 2 team members go on maternity leave and have little babies over the past 2 months. And before they went away, it's kind of discussing not just your own experiences and offering support, but how their career could look when they come back, letting them know it's not it's not a stop in their career. You're just pivoting. You know, you're taking on a whole new challenge and building new skill set. And there's a book by Toby Asare, and it's called The Blend: How to Successfully Manage a Career and a Family. And it is such a good toolkit. And I say that because I read it when I was having Willow, and it talks about, you know, how you can stay in touch whilst you're on maternity leave, what you can expect, how to negotiate flexible hours or salaries or promotions, how to make sure that you are you don't feel like you're being left behind in the period, and that the life that that you want after having a child is there for you to build. So I've given them both that book, and I'm really looking forward to supporting them. But I think it's great, Pretty, the budding system that you've mentioned. And Trina, I remember when I again had Willow, it was actually Kent, it was Fiona at Kent, and she was so empathetic and compassionate to my circumstance. I'd got my own business, I had Prompt at the time, and I was managing that with a newborn, and she was like, we get it, we've all been there, Marcella. And it's just, you can just breathe out and think, they, you know, just having that compassion just made things really, really easy. Someone said to me in that period, in that first 6 months, they're like, you're Superwoman, like you're managing your business and you're raising a child and it looks like everything's just so easy. And I was like, goodness, it's not easy. I don't know how I've given that impression off, because my legs are flapping under the water frantically. And there's this narrative of, you know, women having it all, this amazing career and raising a family and going on holiday and going to the gym all the time and ticking every box. And actually what I said to the person that said that was, yes, I was working and raising my 2 kids, but I wasn't socializing, I wasn't training, I wasn't having fun, I wasn't going on holiday. I was doing the things that I wanted to do. Those are my priorities at the time. But that having it all narrative, I think, can be quite damaging. And something you said, Simone, really sticks with me. It's something your nan said, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was when we did the first session, wasn't it, that sort of led us to forming the network. That my grandmother said that she just felt that women had so much more pressure on them now than when she was young. So when she was young, she was expected to run a house, but women of our generation and slightly older and slightly younger generations are expected to be excellent at everything. You're expected to have a brilliant career. You're expected to be a brilliant mother, brilliant partner. And actually, with that comes a lot of stress, because she just saw that she was needed to be good and was valued as being in charge of the house. But actually, all those other things, yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it?
On the flip side of that, Simone, yesterday my husband was saying how he finds the pressure of having to do little girls' buttons up a new problem that probably didn't exist 50 odd years ago. Because men wouldn't have got involved in raising the children. And I thought that was quite a funny difference.
That is, yeah.
They are a nightmare, to be fair.
They are a nightmare.
When they put them on t-shirts, it's like,
T-shirts
can you
do
not need buttons? Yeah, zip everything. Yeah. And Pretty, does that kind of chime with you, that having it all? Have you heard that in your journey?
Oh, yeah, I hate that. I hate it when people say, well, you know, you have it all, you can have it all. Yeah, just because I can have it doesn't mean I want it all, and it doesn't mean I want it now. So for me, pre-baby and post-baby, it's how I really see my life and my career. You know, pre-baby, post-baby, it's so different. Pre-baby, I would be working all the hours the day could provide. You know, I would be leaving late at night, getting in really early in the morning, because I wanted each piece of work or each project to be the most perfect thing it could be. And you just can't do that when you've got a child to pick up at nursery, when you've got a sick child and you're being called to collect them. All of that goes out the window. And to have the pressure, it's not helpful. I think it's not the best it could ever possibly be. It's the best it can be right now. And don't let, what's that saying? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good, is definitely something that really sticks with me. So, you know, we all have 100 things that we're juggling, and that's just at work. And then, you know, you add another 100 at home, and then, you know, you just think, what is the best that I can do at this particular time? And you know what, that will be enough. because 9 times out of 10 it was often the pressure I was putting on myself to, you know, really take it to that next level.
And as far as skills go, and if we're thinking of children as like a very long CPD course, kids do teach you a lot of, you know, insane organization, innovation, survival skills that you didn't know you were capable of having. And for me, what I found is having those skills in my toolkit. I've been very, very much more productive than I was before. I can manage my time to an inch of its life. I understand better how to prioritize things that are important, both with them, but career-wise. And I guess I wanted to ask, are there any newfound skills that you've noticed since having children? Trina, you're laughing. There's got to be a good one in there.
What the skills? Like, I think I've got some kind of supersonic hearing because I can hear my child cry even when she's not crying. I can hear her like miles away, and I know that that's my child. So yes, definitely improved my hearing. I suppose, yeah, I'm a bit more decisive because I used to really like procrastinating over things. But there's just no time. So we just need to decide now what you're going to eat, what I need to prepare, what time this meeting's going to be, how long this meeting can last for. Like, this meeting can't run over, you know, we've got a set time, and I want to get to know you and everything, but also we've got a job to do and let's get on with it. So yeah, I suppose a bit more efficient. And maybe that's going to have some pluses and minuses, but I mean, for the situation at the moment, that's how it is for me.
What about you, Pretty? Any of those chime with you?
For sure, my outlook has changed so much since I've had my first son and now my daughter. So I think the biggest change has been around compassion. And compassion for others, yeah, was always there. You know, I was always pretty compassionate, but self-compassion is something that I've started to really pay attention to. And it's sort of, you know, when you have children, they look at you and you have to role model what what you want them to have. And actually, it's made me think, actually I could be a bit kinder to myself in this situation, you know, and let it go. It's not going to be the end of the world if that thing doesn't happen right now. I might have a glass of wine after a hard day's work. It's things like that you just think self-care and self-compassion is so important. And then you then project that onto the world around you as well. So compassion for your colleagues, for your teams, for just it's, for me, that's just been a huge development.
I agree with that. I saw an Instagram reel a while ago, and this woman was talking about, since she's had kids, she sees adults as children and as babies. She's like, she can, and I was like, I get that as well. It's like you've got this like mother instinct where it's like compassion to the nth degree, because you just want to like care and nurture. And I think as a leader, it is a really nice not skill, but a nice trait to have developed within you, because there are many complex scenarios in the workplace, and for me it's definitely put the person at the front to really understand their situation and just be really empathetic and understanding. And for the most part everyone's just trying to do a good job, and it's how we navigate through that together in a way that makes everyone feel like they're heard and have a kind of fair voice.
Just listening to everyone, and it sounds like you're really describing is a real heightened sense of emotional intelligence. That, because all of those things aren't they? It's like, so actually that sounds really positive. I've got nieces and nephews who are now grown up, but I would say when they were younger, I think probably negotiation became quite honed.
Yes.
Yeah, we sent Artie into preschool today in his Batman pajamas, and he negotiated us into that. We didn't want to send him in his pajamas, but he won. And I mean, it's a skill that we're refining, and I'm sure it'll be talk of the town, because they really do look like pajamas as well. It's not like you know, they look like t-shirt and shorts, they're like pajama material.
Is there part of you though that looked at him and thought, do you know what? Fair play. You know, you've won this argument. I've got to give it to you. You know, you're a good negotiator.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
There's a part
very
of you that feels
impressed.
proud that you've like passed on some of that.
I do worry about what's to come though, if he's that good at it now. But no, they're brilliant.
Choose your battles as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
True.
One thing that I did want to ask you about is mom guilt. For me, it's the sucker punch that is dropping them off at nursery and feeling like I should be a full-time mom and with them more, but at the same time wanting a career and wanting to work and, you know, use my brain. And it does feel like a never-ending loop of emotions for me. Is that just me? Pretty, you're nodding. Does that chime with you at all?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I had it big time with my son. You know, I used to call my husband from the nursery crying, and you know, he'd be like, "Oh no, it's okay. It's the best thing for him." And it's really tough. Mum guilt really sucks. I even catch myself now. I'm feeding my daughter. She's 3 months old, and I'm like, how am I going to drop her off at nursery? You know, in a year's time, and that is not even happening right now. So, yeah, it's really tough. And I think that's where the self-compassion piece kicks in, where you know, you think actually going to work is great role modeling for your children. So these are the kind of sort of internal dialogues that I've helped develop for myself, just to make me feel better. But also, I think in the grand scheme of things, I think it is better for kids, you know, to see parents going to work, seeing them have something that they're driving towards, they're focusing on. But that mum guilt doesn't go away. You know, I catch myself just looking at videos of my son when he was little, and you know, those kind of things, just to help me get through it. I don't know. I mean, any tips?
Something that I've found is when I'm with them in the morning and when they come back from nursery, I give them my whole self. So they've got 2 or 3 hours where I'm not on my phone, I'm with them, and the time we spend together is really quality time. And I really focus on that. So in the day, you know, working, enjoying working, so I do really love what I do. But when I'm with them in my entirety, my whole self is with them, and that for me helps ease the guilt, because I think we're having really quality interactions throughout the week and the weekend, as opposed to what could potentially be, you know, them having half of me and me trying to do something else, or you know, and I think it's just like quality, not quantity sometimes. And we do make a lot of fun memories when they come home from nursery. Sometimes it's just an hour, but I really kind of try and make the effort to make it a really good one. Sometimes, other times it's just bluey and ice cream, but you know, as long as we're spending time together. What about you, Trina? How do you manage it?
I battle with this one, because if I pretend that I'm talking to somebody else about mum guilt or parent guilt, I am like, I'm just so supportive, and you know, I'm of the mindset that you're always going to feel guilty no matter what you do, you know, if you were at home all the time or if you worked all the time, you know, because how can you do it all, you know, and what, it's just not possible. There's only so much that you can do, and you are also a person that needs to feel fulfilled. And in order to be a great parent, you need to, you know, like there's this pressure as well of like being your best self so that you're your best self for your child. Well, you need to do enough to sort of fill that up you as well. So if that involves working, I know that the majority of us have to work, it isn't a luxury, but it also can be quite fulfilling as well if you're doing something that you enjoy, which I think, you know, we are. And if exercising once a week makes you feel rejuvenated rather than exhausted, then that's great, because the next day when you see your little one, you know, you're going to feel a bit more energized. But But the reality is sometimes I feel bad about doing those things because because people say, you know, this time is precious, it goes so quickly.
I was just
You're
about
gonna
to
miss
say
out
that
on
all
stuff.
the
And
time. Make the
it's
most
like,
of these years. It
how
only
do you
happens once.
win?
Yeah.
Well, I can't be with them all the time. And also I wouldn't be able to remember everything because I'm so tired. And I also need to do stuff for myself. And then it becomes this, you know, cycle. I feel like I just took you into like the inner depths of my mind there by answering that question. But I think it's impossible not to feel some sense of guilt to yourself, to your child, to your work, to your employer, to your, you know.
And I think the reality of having the career and having a family means that you have to make sacrifices, which just adds
Definitely.
to that mum guilt. You know, there was one time when I had to pitch for a new CRM project, and the only time the committee was meeting was when I was taking my son to a swimming lesson on my day off. So, you know, luckily he fell asleep in the car, and I put a blazer on my swimsuit and did the presentation in my car. And that was really stressful, and that totally encroached on my personal time. But on the other hand, there was a really important committee meeting on the day my son was doing his nativity play, of course. So then, you know, I was sat in the car park waiting for my turn in this committee whilst the play was happening at school in the car park. And my boss just messaged me and said, just go, it's okay, I'll do the paper. And so, you know, that's my personal life then encroaching on my work life. And it's a balance. And I think that's, you know, it definitely adds to the mum guilt. But it's the reality is it's give and take. And that's how you get through on a day by day basis. Today it's encroaching, tomorrow I'm encroaching, and you just kind of get through somehow and tell yourself it's okay because you're doing the best you can.
Yeah.
And I think often we don't give ourselves enough credit for all that we are doing. You know, like we've spoken a lot about like surviving the day and the balance being hard and mom guilt. But we're doing amazingly. The fact that we're working, that we're raising children and children of the future, and that, you know, I'd like to think that we're role models for each other and the people we work with, as well as our kids as well.
The fact that we're alive.
Yes, we're alive. It all looks like we've, you know, we're dressed, we've combed our hair. Like this is, you've been to the hairdressers, Trina. You're absolutely winning.
I know. I was getting really stressed out towards the end. I was like, I'm gonna miss the call. I'm gonna miss the call.
We'd have wondered, you could have tapped in from the hairdresser's chair.
It's been really good to have this conversation, and I'm really pleased as well, Pretty, you joined us today. I hope this helps other people as well.
Yeah,
it feels like there's cathartic's not the right word, but there's kind of something about sharing, isn't there, and kind of actually understanding that you're not the only person that feels this way.
yeah. I think solidarity makes this crazy journey so much easier. And I know, Trina, you and I had lots of chats when we were both pregnant and expecting, and we were both business owners at the time, and it just feeling like you've got someone in your corner, or a group in your corner. You just don't feel as alone. And although you could be speaking to people all day, it can be a really lonely, isolating journey. And if you're not with people that have gone through it or know how to support you through it, it can be really difficult.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually, that, you know, we run different businesses and yet we were supporting one another. You know, you might be working within a university and feeling alone and not having a support network within your own team, but you can, you know, you can find people within the sector who will support you and be there for you. So it doesn't have to be somebody that you're working with, it can be somebody outside of that. Yeah, I found that really useful, Marcella.
I do, and Pretty, I do remember you ringing me up when we were in lockdown as well. And we had this conversation where I was walking around the park, and I don't know, you were in a tiny office or something on campus. Just actually, I think, being able to pick up the phone sometimes to someone.
Absolutely. 100%. And it's knowing that, you know, you do have a village, you have your tribe, you have your people, and when you're a mum, there's a really big tribe, because there's a lot of us out there, and a lot of us who have been through it or can really can really relate to what you're going through. And, you know, whether you're a mum or not, I think it's just, as a human being, to really be able to relate to someone is really important.
And that is what the She Network is all about. We are all here for supporting each other, other women, sharing our journeys and our own experiences, so that we can all learn together and be there for each other. So on that, I just want to say, Priti, thanks so much for being our special guest today.
Thank you for having me.
So lovely to hear about your journey, and wishing you all the best with the rest of your mat leave and return to work. Hopefully we can speak soon, and you can continue being part of the She Network with us.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for listening. Please do follow, like, comment and share, and come on this journey with us, and stay tuned for our next episode, which we will announce soon. So thank you, everybody. Hope you have a lovely afternoon, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening as well.